New York's police commissioner James O'Neill has apologized for the actions of police officers during the Stonewall raid. On June 28, 1969, police raided the gay bar in Greenwich Village. They claimed the Stonewall Inn had violated liquor laws, but officers were met with resistance. A violent uprising followed, lasting several nights. The riot is seen as a turning point for the modern-day LGBTQ rights movement.
Well, I'm certainly not going to stand up here and pretend to be an expert on what happened at Stonewall. I do know what happened should not have happened. The actions taken by the NYPD were wrong, plain and simple. The actions and the laws were discriminatory and oppressive, and for that, I apologize.
Well, joining me now on set is Raymond Braun. He's the executive producer and host of the documentary State of Pride. Raymond, how significant was that apology?
Thanks so much for having me and for this question. It's very timely, of course. So on State of Pride, I was really approaching it from a journalism question and looking at all of the questions and themes that come up around Pride, both within and outside of the LGBTQ community. And there are a few questions that are more contentious and more controversial than the police presence at Pride. You have members of the community who feel like they have long been persecuted and discriminated against and targeted by police, predominantly LGBTQ people of color and trans women. Just in the past month, there were 2 trans women murdered in Dallas. You have LGBTQ people who are police officers and want to feel part of Pride. And then you have folks who say Pride is a big celebration. I've been targeted and discriminated against for being LGBTQ, and I feel safe having the police presence at Pride. And so all of these different opinions and perspectives are in the forum of public debate around the question of police at Pride. This specific announcement yesterday, I think, is an important first step in opening up a broader conversation about how the police can better reflect and protect LGBTQ people.
You produced a documentary called State of Pride.
Yes.
What did you hope to achieve with that documentary?
Well, we're entering the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall riots, which were just mentioned in your introduction. And in the context of reflecting on the 50th anniversary, we wanted to explore what Pride means to young LGBTQ people today. So I teamed up with Academy Award-winning directors Rob Epstein and Jeff Friedman. We took a road trip across the country from big cities like San Francisco and Salt Lake City to small towns like Tuscaloosa, Alabama, to really look at the meaning, significance, and controversies around Pride today, because I think Pride is an amazing looking glass to actually see what's happening politically, socially, and culturally within our country.
You said at one point that Tuscaloosa, Alabama changed the way that you felt about Pride. What did you mean by that?
So going into this project, I had never been to a really small town rural Pride. I'm from a really rural conservative community myself, but we don't even have a Pride. And so my image of Pride and my experience with Pride were the big ones, the big kahunas, the San Franciscos, the Chicago, the London, the New York. And so I really was curious about what a Pride would look like when maybe 50, 100, 150 people show up. How would it feel? What would it mean for people? Would it be protested? What would the controversies be? And I have to say, Tuscaloosa had just as much heart and power and significance as being in the Pride with millions of people like we're going to have in New York in the month, because you saw how important it was for people who had traveled across Alabama and neighboring states just to be in a space where they felt like they could exhale and be themselves, because for so many of them, they have directly faced discrimination, being fired from their jobs, evicted from their homes, being pushed out of restaurants simply for holding hands of their same-sex partner. You know,
it amazes me just how still in this day and age, there's still so much misunderstanding and that people can't sort of express who they are, and coming out even to relatives is so hard. I'm just curious if you've had any reaction to this. Like, have you heard about how this has impacted the lives of other people by watching this?
The most meaningful thing for me has been hearing from young LGBTQ folks sending me direct messages saying that